Hey everyone, welcome to Smash Trivia. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia to follow everything happening with me. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. I'm so excited to get into this. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, in this series, I'm going to review everything Hulk, all the movies and TV shows, and I'm actually getting into comics now on my Patreon. This episode, though, is not reviewing anything Hulk, but still, hope you enjoy Smash Trivia Presents The Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening if they please do sign for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. For this episode, we're going to review Thor, Love and Thunder. And I'd like to take a moment to say, as I mentioned briefly a little bit ago, Smash Trivia now has a Patreon, so please check that out. We have some fantastic extra content on there. I bet you'll love. The tiers are as follows: $1 a month is Hulkaholic for $1, and then $3 is a month is the Reading Room with Hulky and Shulky. $5 a month is Smashing the TV. And $10 a month is Bruce's Bar Trivia and One Night Smashes. Our co-hosts today are Keith, aka KeithSketches, aka Filmkritter with a K. How you doing, Keith?
I'm doing good, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing good too. And that's the start of my highlighting female voices series. We have Amanda, aka Amandalorian, and Sprocket. How are the two of you doing this evening?
I'm feeling the love.
All right. So, as I always have, I have a trivia question for you. What part of Thor's costume is enchanted?
What part of Thor's costume? So not including the hammer, just the outfit. Well, okay.
Yes.
I don't know in the comics, but I know from Norse mythology, I believe, I hope I don't screw this up, that he has, I want to say, a magic belt.
Okay. Do either the two others of you have any answers?
I want to go with belt, but I feel like cape, but I don't know. Belt sounds way more likely that it's belt. I'm gonna go with Sprocket.
Cape was my guess as well, but then I also thought maybe his helmet, the wings there, made me kind of think of that might be enchanted or something of that nature.
Okay. Well, I'll give the answer to that later in the show. And as I always say, before or starting a review, I highly recommend watching the film before you listen to this because while we do try to mention and most of what happens in the film, there's still things that we're gonna miss, and also being that it's a commentary on the film, it will not make a lot of sense if you have not seen the film. And as I have one patron, and currently that is Keith. So I have to legally announce his name on every episode now.
Legally.
Even if I really do not want to.
Well, it's a hard name to pronounce. I get it.
The courts have decided.
The podcast I want to shout out this week is Clash of the Titles. They pit two films against each other every episode to see which film is better and which one should be thrown in the trash. And I listened to their Hulk 2003 versus the Incredible Hulk 2008 episode, and while I don't agree with their opinions on the films, I thought they were hilarious in their banter and love that they, just like me, include both trivia questions and just trivia in general from the films. So definitely check them out. All right, let's get into this review. The first thing I wanted to bring up, this is something that this is a theory I have that has to do with the beginning of the film. So when Thor is with the Guardians, and he plants Stormbreaker down, and when he picks it up, there are roots growing from it. So since we know that a Groot or a floor colossus can and grow from just one twig, do you think that Thor has been creating lots of Groots or floor colossuses is every time he plants that down, because pretty obviously he's breaking those twigs off of it because you don't see the twigs in later scenes.
Yeah, I have thought about like, is Stormbreaker actually a Groot? And I didn't get beyond really thinking that, or like, could it be? It does seem like Stormbreaker seems to have more consciousness though than Mjolnir, I would
Oh, yeah.
say. So it is possible.
Which I think that's probably because of it being from Groot's arm, because that is Groot's arm. Even after being cut off, it is still alive.
Right. Yeah. So if anything, like it's got that, like it's got more sentience and personality than Mjolnir ever had, which it could be inheriting from Groot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I had honestly like practically forgotten that it was even part of Groot until recently.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why they actually showed in the film that him planting it and there being roots coming out of it is to remind people,
right,
this is made from Groot.
I think it's going to spawn a nemesis to Groot. I think it's going to create basically Groot's Wario, and it's going to be his name's going to be Root, and he's going to be voiced by an even deeper voice than Vin Diesel.
Very nice.
I don't know who. I have no idea. Maybe Sam Elliott or something.
But I will say,
you know, with the argument they have in real life, it'd be a great arc to have The Rock, but it is
right.
This enemy.
He's got to play one of Korg's dads.
Yes.
Probably
no. Well, no.
Oh no,
not
Korg
his
meets...
dad.
Right.
He's definitely not having a child with his dad. That's not okay.
Right. He holds hands with Dwayne and creates his own child. Right.
So wait a minute. We've got rock people and we've got wood people. So when are we going to get the straw people? That's what I want to know.
Oh, and then the wolf comes in and blows them all down. I like that idea.
Hey, and we already got the giant wolf with Furnace.
Right, Fenrir. Yeah.
There is like a Three Little Pigs version of the MCU happening in some weird realm that we don't know about.
Well, yeah, I mean that's clearly what they're planning for
Yes.
Phase 9.
Phase, right.
The big bad wolf is the next Thanos level villain.
Well, I mean, you know, it's possible. Maybe they're bringing in, oh God, what is that series called? That's about all of the fairy tales.
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time.
The comic series with all the.
I'm not
sure. I can't think of what's it called.
Oh, like a Marvel comic series about fairy tales.
Yeah, or it might be like, I don't know that it's Marvel, but it is a fairly popular comic series that's all about like fairy tale characters having to sort of get thrown into various realities and, you know, being dark and gritty like you do.
Well, someone is Googling right now.
Yeah, it might just be called Grim something or other.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Fairy tale. I'm just gonna look that up. You kids talk amongst yourselves.
It might be called Grimm's Fairy Tales. I found one that was listed as a comic series, so maybe.
There is a comic universe. This has like video games and all sorts of stuff.
Though I did start with actually with that theory. There is something that happens before that we see right before that we see Gore with his child as she dies, and then him meeting his god who tells him how he's not going his death and his daughter's death don't mean anything, and how they just killed someone who had the necro sword or the necro blade, I think, and it's this causes Gore to get to grab the necro blade and kill his god, and he vows to destroy all gods.
So
I
dramatic, John.
really
So dramatic.
enjoyed I really enjoyed gore so much in this film. And like I've talked to Keith in private messages about this, but I think if I was in Gore's position, I had that kind of power, I don't know that I would act differently.
Yeah, you get corrupted
That's
by
fair.
it too, I feel.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of people in power, or whether it's you believe in God or it's or in the real world, who are abusing that power, and I don't know that I would be able to stop myself if I had the power to stop them.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, like that whole like just the movie opening with that level of like drama and
Oh, yeah.
intensity was so like it was so like you empathize with him and his daughter right away. It reminded me very much how like many Sandman comics and other things I've read start right away with like a character you've never seen before, something that's happened, it's usually something mythological or something, just bring you right into it. Some like, a desert landscape and, characters who are just going through something very heavy. And yeah, and even just the way then it like immediately went into the realm of that god, and the way that looked was very evocative of comic books.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that it was so powerful, that just brings you right in and gets you in this mindset for this film. I also know that Taika Waititi is an atheist, and like
Yes.
it's interesting because he also has sort of the lessons of the spirituality of the culture that he grew up with, but he has this sort of very strong view, much like many people who we know who were raised Christian, that like these stories aren't real. They're metaphors for like how you should live your life and be good to people, etc. But yeah, like I don't know, I just thought that was so powerful and so relatable, that like this guy has been, the thing he believed and his people believed for centuries is just being suddenly proved to him to be completely false, and these guys just do not give a fuck.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I definitely can relate to that too, as I grew up Christian, and I'm now atheist myself, so I can definitely understand what you're talking about there.
I love
Yeah,
the birth of Gore's story in the storytelling like sense of the movie. I think Gore's part in the movie was my favorite. I liked Jane's as well, but I feel like Jane's got cut way more for time than Gore's did. So it feels like Gore's was preserved well, and then Jane's could have been like, hey, come on, give her more to work with. But that's that Gore opening scene was a great way to kind of bookend the movie, start and finish, kind of for his story.
I think one thing, that whether you're someone who really enjoys this film or you're someone who doesn't, I think that we all one thing we all can agree about is that it having a 30 minutes to an hour longer would have been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear a lot of stuff was cut. But yeah, like I feel like because the movie opens with this big sort of very heavy story, that might be part of the reason they decided to go a little bit lighter on the cancer storyline. But I agree that I kind of wish that we had been allowed to feel Jane's, the heaviness of Jane's situation a little bit more.
Yeah, there were definitely hints of it though in the film. Like it's very emotional when you see her drop Mjolnir, and you see how she really is in the situation, and I do not think that is watered down, that at least things like that, because you even if it's not there a lot, you still are getting that emotion there. There's a lot of emotion seen, and it really just goes to show that Natalie Portman is such an incredible actress.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can see it too in one of, I guess it's her first scene when she's getting her treatment and she's in that sort of waiting room, and then
Yeah.
she's talking to the kid, and then Darcy comes in, and then she's kind of brushing it off. So you can see that there's this sense of denial within her, and it's I mean, I think you can kind of see that, like, the inner turmoil as well. Like, she just doesn't want to
Definitely
kind of acknowledge the situation, and she's like, it's fine. Out of how many stages?
Yeah. I really like that.
I think
That we know of. Yeah.
Right.
I think one of the biggest things I have a lot of props to Taika with for this film is there are a lot of people who are insistent that because there was a lot of jokes in Ragnarok that Taika is just going to spend the entire time of this film making fun of cancer, and it's like, no, he's not an asshole. Why would he do that?
I personally don't think he was making my biggest gripe with this movie is too many jokes. I don't think any of them were jokes about cancer at all.
Right.
But to me, it was the tone shifts. It was the ability to take the cancer scene seriously and then shift so quickly to joke. And it's like it either lived in one of those two realms. There's nothing really tethering that really together for me. And the scenes where Thor was with Jane and dealing with those moments of cancer, of the revelation and what she wants to do with her last moments and last days, I thought those were Thor's most sincere moments. Those were the best parts of Thor. And yet the rest of the Thor moments, I'm like, what's going on? When did he become this dumb? But that's my gripe. But no, he doesn't make fun of cancer.
It was insane to me that there was seriously people who thought that because he added jokes to Ragnarok, he was going to just be like, oh, you have cancer? Let's make fun of you for that. No.
That's bizarre. Yeah.
That's not who Taika is.
The levity in the situation was fairly like real. Like, when humans are faced with things like that, you're there with your friend getting chemo. Like, I have literally been in that situation, where I was the friend taking my friend to get chemo, and granted, I know her from improv, or knew her from improv, I guess, but there's seriousness, but it's also a lot of like talking like people do and joking about the situation that you're in, because that's what human beings do when they are faced with sad and scary things. And I think to some extent I feel like he could have explained it better at the beginning of the movie, but when you are in that situation where he is leaving the Guardians and trying to find something, he has that whole thing about how he's keeping everyone at arm's length because he's had so much loss lately, etc. And I feel like that is intended to explain what is going on with him and why his sort of quippy jokiness has gotten turned up so high, because he's that all as a defense mechanism.
Yes, definitely.
Good point.
And also like the carelessness, I think that's because after losing so many people, he's lost care. And I think I'm not surprised by him losing care after all the stuff he's lost.
Yeah.
Right.
And it makes sense that keeping people at an arm's length for so long, it would lose a bit of his empathy maybe for people, but at the same time, it's like, to me, it was the destroying of the temple for that one like group of people. Also, why did he join the fight so late? Like, why does he join the fight when so many people have already died? And then I loved the splits scene where he's yelling at those two creatures and he's doing the splits like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I love that moment. But to me, it was like, but then why does he have to be so careless at the same time as, I don't know. It just, he's like everybody's going to compare it to Ragnarok forever, but like he says, because that's what heroes do. And that's like his big thing in that movie. Many times he says that, right? but it's not what heroes would do if you just destroy this creature or this whole entire alien race's temple.
Yeah, I'm very certain he was not trying. It was an accident.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was very much an accident. I will say it was a bit of a flimsy accident, but like, I don't feel like it said anything about his character. I don't think it was a character flaw moment. And I think, he came to that planet to relax and meditate, though I feel like should we get to this point before we talk about this point, or are we
oh, I don't know.
We haven't is that sort of the next thing that happens?
I think that's about the next thing that happens after the
if you've got points before that, though,
Sprocket, if you have,
no, it's fine. No, I was just like saying, like, oh, should we set this up, or no, it's fine. No, I was just now I've forgotten what I was saying.
Where you were saying he went to that planet to relax, and I think you've got a point there that I probably overlook a lot when I think back on that scene.
He went there, like the Guardians complained. They're like, this was supposed to be a vacation. You brought us here for a vacation. And, then we ended up in the middle of this fight. And so I think he was there to like meditate and enjoy it. And, he was doing what he came there to do when they sort of got pulled into the fight. And it's possible the Guardians were like, we've got this. Go meditate. I don't know.
I would have liked to see that scene. That's all. More scenes with how him and Star-Lord are now like.
That's bros. What I wanted. Yeah.
I really, now. I do really wish they had like the Guardians were. I really wish like they're at least like in like a third of the film at least, and not just the opening scene. I know a lot of people like that because it made the film was more Thor focused, but I like the dynamic between them so much with the Guardians with Thor. So I wish we could have gotten more of that.
Yeah.
And I know part of that is because the Guardians movie was supposed to have happened first.
Right. Yeah. Everything's all skewed. I keep forgetting that multiverse was supposed to happen before No Way Home, and like, everything's all scrambled, and I forget how deep that scrambling has gone. But,
right. Guardians had a director, and then I think he and Feige disagreed on too much, and then they got rid of him, and that got delayed significantly. And then this ended up having to change a lot because of that, is my understanding.
There you go. Don't diss Feige. You lose your shot. Fair enough. Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Well, I think the next thing is that because of him destroying their sacred temple, they gave him a couple of goats. It's just like as an offering to him, and a lot of people have complained about the goats, saying that they're in way too much of the film, but they're really only in 30 seconds of the film. Like literally, I watched a compilation on YouTube of them. They're only in 30 seconds of the film. They're not in that much of the film. That's a pretty dumb complaint, in my opinion.
Honestly, every time I thought they were going to try my patience, I love them more and more. Every time they used them, I was like, when they hit the planet, my fiance and I both laughed.
Yes,
at that moment. It was so much fun. Yeah.
And the slightly delayed scream after they hit it.
Yes.
I was surprised they didn't grate on my nerves, and I saw people complain. I saw that coming, type of thing. I saw that being a bigger complaint, but I had no problem with that at all, which is surprising how much other things bothered me than the goats.
I actually like I have concrete stairs out front, and springing up between two steps on my concrete stairs, suddenly one day there was a what are they called? Snapdragon plant that just grew up between my stairs. This plant with this purple flower where you squeeze the sides and the mouth, and it like opens like a dragon's mouth. If you don't know what a snapdragon is, I guess you should look it up. But after seeing this movie, I think I ended up like taking videos of my snapdragons and like opening them. Like it's like a little puppet thing that you can do with these flowers. It's very
Yep.
cool. And I ended up creating my very first TikTok ever of just like doing that and having a screaming goat sound like coming out of the flower's mouth. So
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Uh,
I
I'll
know
have
the
to
thing you're
link
talking
it.
about. Snapdragon puppetry is definitely something that I tried as a kid.
Right,
I like those.
Yeah, we don't even have like snapdragons anywhere nearby. They're not in our garden or anything. They just started growing on the stairs. It was totally random.
Lucky is what it is.
Yeah.
So the Thor and the Guardians, they end up splitting up after seeing on the screen how there's all of these distress calls where Gore has been killing gods, and one of them, Thor notices Sif is there, and so he has to go there, and so him and the Guardians, they split off, and Thor goes to that planet, and we get some absolutely fantastic visuals here, seeing this giant creature or god that Gore killed, and then he finds Sif, who wants to die so that she can make it into Valhalla, but he tells her how that's the year that's not going to work, because the battle's already over, which I really thought that was a pretty funny joke.
It was
Yeah.
cute. The I guess your arm maybe is invaluable. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
enjoyed
great.
that too. I would have, you know what I would have enjoyed more in that moment is some like storytelling from Sif saying like, this is like giving him a bit of like, here's what happened. And then we get to see Gore kill a god, you know? It was just one other god would have been cool. It's just as the name God Butcher just didn't really seem earned in this way. He killed one god and then everything else happened before we got there. Damn it.
Yeah, he has all those videos of like the various places that he's killed gods, but it would have been, I absolutely agree that it would have been nice to have him kill a few gods, but that's a complaint I have with like many MCU villains, and just villains in like many things in general, where like we don't actually see them doing their thing and being scary to a degree enough. But I feel like
I think that a big example of that is a big complaint with Infinity War. We never got to see Thanos destroy Xandar.
Right.
That's fair.
Mhm.
Something big and cool and impressive. Yeah. Just to like hammer home how intense this situation is. But I feel like part of the reason it wasn't necessary, especially like upon only seeing the movie once, was that Christian Bale's acting was just so freaking on point, and he made this character creepy and solemn at the same time, and like he did such a great job with the character that like
they didn't have to beef it up.
Right. Yeah. Though I agree, it would have been happy to see him kill some more gods.
We
but they kept saying he killed a lot.
True, they did. They did. we see him kill as many gods as Thor kills in this movie, which is one. And it's like, wait a minute.
No, we see
Thor that?
Okay.
I guess we see him kill one, but then we see one other that he has killed. So
that's true. That's true.
And it is very big.
Wait.
That's true. It does count for a lot of gods. Yeah.
Which god did Thor kill? Because Zeus is not dead.
Yeah, but you don't find that out until later. So
yeah, come on.
We think the whole movie that he killed him. Yeah. So it totally counts.
Thank you, Sprocket. Thank you. It's nice to have someone in my corner in this. Oh my goodness. I think we can all agree this movie was terrible.
Wow.
Wow. Did I go too far? I took advantage.
I think we go from there to the where we're meeting Jane for the first time in this film as she's getting chemo, and there here we have her talking to this kid, which is a honestly really nice conversation with Aish, and I really enjoyed this conversation she had with the kid, teaching him a bit about science, and using a whole bunch of films to help with it, and telling him and that your homework is to go watch these films. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then we get Ed, one of my favorite characters from the entire Thor franchise coming back, and that's Darcy.
Yay!
Yes, I love her so much.
Oh my
She
god.
got a cheer in my theater.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so happy to see her in WandaVision. Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
was probably one of my favorite things about WandaVision is
Oh,
how
yeah.
much Darcy we got.
Got a lot of Darcy, and
I-
a Darcy that was so advanced compared to, you could assume that she didn't really like what she was learning in the internship in the first two Thor movies, and then you get to this Darcy, and she's a scientist. She's done it.
Yeah.
She's there,
Yeah.
and I love that. I was like, good for Darcy. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and we ended up seeing Jane's lab, which that has upgraded a ton since we've last seen it, and I really enjoyed seeing how much that's upgraded.
Yeah. I'm surprised she
Yeah,
didn't start doing the Morbius experiments on herself.
So, yeah,
Right.
She's got that book
And-
money.
and they also
Making meth.
had another cameo from someone in the earlier Thor films, which was
A little bit of Selvig.
yes,
Just a little
so,
sprinkle of
Selvig.
Yeah.
I was
Digital
so
Selvig.
surprised that Selvig actually made an appearance. Like
Yeah.
that was probably one of the most surprising characters to me in the entire film, that he made an appearance. Because it's been so long since we've seen him. I mean, and also like because he's a people would not have been surprised to not see him. So them actually bringing him back, especially when the actor I don't think really does many franchise films anymore. So,
Wasn't he just in something? Wasn't he in another
I-
MCU movie or something recently
I
that
don't
wasn't?
think so.
Yeah,
he
Hmm.
a picture of him was in Far From Home.
A picture of him. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, because on the plane they showed a whole bunch of documentaries that exist within the MCU, and one of them had his face on it.
I feel like he showed up in like Winter Soldier or something, but I'm probably just totally making that up.
I don't think so.
But yeah, like I feel like because these are original Thor characters that were all in the 1st movie.
Yeah.
And considering how many of them are dead, I think we literally got all of the characters
Oh,
from
yeah.
Thor that are still alive in this movie.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
I think that this to me, this is the Jane crew. You got
Right.
Darcy, you got Selvig, and this is a great way to bring Jane back and
Mhm.
remind us all, okay, this is what it
Yes.
was like when Jane was around. She had Darcy, she had Selvig. It was a unit
Mhm.
that was kind of dealing with the Thor adventures.
Yeah.
They were on along for the ride with Thor in the first two, but then it's been so long since we've seen Jane, so they helped to tether her back in our memories and like, oh yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, no, this is her.
Yeah.
This is her. What Jane's part of the world is.
Mhm. And Jane ended up having ended up thinking about Mjolnir and deciding to go to New Asgard to see if maybe that could help with her cancer. And she goes on this tour around where the crash or the explosion site was, and this is where one of the deleted scenes actually from the film is, because they did film her or becoming Thor, or there is some behind the scenes footage of her being lifted up in that area, presumably as Mjolnir is choosing her, but they chose to remove that. And I
reveal.
actually think it was a good idea, because to give them that cool reveal.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Also,
Yeah.
you didn't want people thinking about the new Stranger Things series as she gets lifted up in the air.
Oh my gosh,
Sprocket,
yeah.
you stole that. You stole that idea from my mind. I was like, he said lift it up. If she got lifted up, they're gonna be like, no.
Speaking of that, I heard that there was a Kate Bush song in the film that they removed. They didn't say what it was, but I mean,
Taika
that would
was
have been a fun
all pissed.
coincidence.
Taika was like very sarcastically being like, "Oh, these kids think they're cool listening to Kate Bush now. I listened to Kate Bush back in the day. They don't know what they're talking about." So that makes a lot of sense if he had a movie in there earlier.
Boomer Taika comes out at some point. I liked it before it was cool. Yeah.
Oh, he's such a hipster. Come on. Look at that.
And at this, and as well, while she's in Asgard, before going back to Thor, we have our Ragnarok play that happens, which I really enjoyed that they brought that joke back from the last film. I do wish that they had continued it a bit further, and so that we could have an Asgardian actor or Hulk. Which I for
Right?
one think that it
That
would have been
great.
I for one think what would have been an absolutely perfect thing is have that the Asgardian actor playing Hulk just happens to be Lou Ferrigno.
Oh my God, yes.
That would have been great. Actually.
I would have loved
They
that.
could've
Yeah.
pitched that.
And then also I think what would have been great would be to have that how this play end up ending is that Gore shows up here, kills the Asgardian actors thinking that they are the gods.
Oh man.
I think that would have been amazing.
Oh, but you can't pull that kind of fast one on Gore. Gore's not that. Gore's too
Yeah.
smart for that.
He can
Yeah.
sense the god in you. He's not going to be confused by puppetry.
Yeah. Although Gore
Crawling off
walking,
stage.
yeah. Gore walking up while they're doing the play would have been fun, and then have him just be like, "I know it's not you," type of thing, and just kind of like swat them aside or something. Kind of cool.
You just see him sitting in the audience with the baseball cap on, sunglasses,
Waiting for his moment, eating popcorn.
getting the information.
that actually reminds me of a scene from one of the DC TV shows that I watched. So a few seasons ago, there's they were leading up to Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they had this character, the Monitor, in there. And during the Legends of Tomorrow finale that season, and they were at this like carnival thing, and they just briefly cut to the Monitor in the background eating popcorn.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
You gotta have
That
those
show
moments
is so
of living.
good.
Oh man.
I can't believe they canceled that show. Anyway, we shouldn't get bogged down.
Yeah. When I was on the Avengers podcast, they were like, "No DC, don't talk to know your place." I was like, "I can't talk about DC." They're like, "No." It's like, I said they suck. I said they're bad.
You're free here, Keith.
And we
unchained.
also another cool thing that we see in New Asgard is Daryl, which is from the Team Thor shorts that Taika made for what Thor was doing during Civil War,
I thought that's
which I thought was really cool.
I don't know what this is, and I need to know what this is, apparently.
They're on Disney Plus, I think.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Watch it on Disney
Okay.
Plus.
They were trying to give like people a taste of what Thor Ragnarok's tone was going to be like with Taika taking over, and like they really wanted to like surprise people with the humor, so they came out with these little shorts with him and Daryl, the regular roommate. Oh, I love Daryl.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. I did see
like-
this. Okay, yes, I
and, like,
remember.
Bruce Banner happens to be living in Australia for some reason.
Because why wouldn't he be?
That
That was
So
one
silly.
thing I had a hard time not seeing New Asgard. Like, New Asgard is supposed to be in Norway or whatever. But because it is New Zealand, and it looked like New Zealand with like the cruise ships and everything, I had a hard time not thinking about it as being in New Zealand. And that's a me problem. Oh, and the fact that like all the actors had New Zealand accents. Again, me problem. But because I loved this movie, if anyone doesn't know
Taika
that.
thing.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously.
Undoubtedly.
He's from New Zealand.
Yeah, well, exactly. But like, yeah, like I just, because it's supposed to be in Norway, but I knew it was New Zealand, I had a hard time thinking of it as Norway and not as New Zealand.
Yeah. I think the next thing I'm going to go to is actually where Thor comes back to New Asgard, as there are these creatures that are overwhelming the town that Gore sent, and he ends up right here meeting Jane again, and who is now mighty Thor. Oh my god!
I love this scene, by the way. This whole thing. Everything but maybe Thor's helmet, but I kind of enjoyed. You know what? If he had gotten rid of the dorky costume after meeting his ex for the first time after 8 years, that would have been better for me. But when he was in the dorky outfit, that was fun. I enjoyed that. But the whole like shadow monsters and Gore slowly walking toward them, all of that was a lot of fun. I love that part.
And even though they didn't,
good.
Okay. So all right, but just real quick, like even though they didn't they couldn't use the Venom aspects of the Necrosword because it's owned by Sony, I did like that it kind of felt Venom like the creatures that were attacking New Asgard.
Yes.
Yeah, the shadow creatures felt very symbiont like.
Yes.
I agree with that.
I just love the way they crawled out of the shadows, period. I was like, I don't even care what they look like. Just give me more of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, the effect of like the lengthening of the shadows extending into these creatures that stepped out of the darkness. Yeah. Darkness is scary. Everyone knows that.
Still afraid of it.
I was going to jump to the Thor Jane montage part, if that's okay.
Okay.
Because that's what happens when they meet, is we go into the backstory, right? That happens at that point. Like that was for me so good. It was one of the things that really bothers me about a lot of MCU is like we'll get like suddenly this character is here doing this. Like I feel like one thing that's always really bothered me is how much the WandaVision relationship was just sort of a thing that happened off screen primarily, and like, oh, they're this and they're like, you don't really like, there's so many things that like you just have to assume or hear about, when it comes to interpersonal things from one movie to the next. Hulk and Black Widow's relationship like never really happens on screen, etc.
I mean, I don't think it really happened at all much as they only really start having a little bit of a relationship in Age of Ultron, but then he leaves her.
But so like I guess but like to actually like get some more of the intimacy and just some more of the steps and like what I feel like Wanda like just even like showing up in Civil War and being suddenly part of the team, was sort of jarring. Like, oh, Wanda's just part of the team now. What? So things like that where we just jump over things and like the ties between films are very tenuous. And so I really loved this getting a montage of Thor and Jane's relationship.
It makes it seem like they really lived.
100%.
Right. Yeah. It was nice. I think because too, like this is a criticism like that I had and that I know a lot of people had in the last couple of Thor films was that there was just no chemistry between Thor and Jane at all. And so, I mean, I think this did a lot to rectify that and it showed that they did have that relationship together. And I thought that they just like worked a lot better together just because of that one scene.
Yeah.
And I had this isn't as big a point as either of yours, but I really enjoyed seeing Thor get to wear a hot dog costume.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, out of nowhere.
That was
And
awesome.
Jane's like losing all of her guts.
yeah.
Costume.
Yes. Oh my god, it was great.
I'd say that
Sleeping
montage, like,
peacefully.
there's really not like a lot of, I don't have a lot of criticisms for like the first third of the movie. It's really like I love the backstory. I think that you're right that we get like in other iterations of Thor bringing up Jane when she's not around in the movie, it's too vague. It doesn't give us anything. And then this was finally like an answer to what their relationship was like post Dark World. And to get to see that in a montage felt kind of shortened for what I wanted to see, but I like the way that they rounded it up and into the best moments kind of thing, and best explanation for how they petered out, because couples, that happens when two people are so busy and they're constantly flying off to save the world in their own different ways. It's I like that they also did that too, is they explained, like, the way that Korg I think explains it is that they are each trying to save the world in their own ways, because they're both able to contribute in completely
But also to some extent he implies that they both were like throwing themselves into their work partially because they were afraid of intimacy. They were afraid of like the loss that comes with love.
Yes.
And that actually drove them to be throwing themselves into their work to some extent.
True.
I don't like it's so weird to me. Things just like, oh, they lived in an apartment. Oh, they had like an open floor plan and a kitchen nook. Like, are so like it's like this is, it just makes it so real. Whereas like I'm looking at the kitchen nook. I'm a bicycle mechanic. I was talking to my coworker Ari who saw it. He was like, "Did you notice that the bicycle in their living room had like the chain was off?" And I was like, "There was a bicycle in the living room?" I was paying attention to the kitchen nook.
A lot of details. They grounded it. They grounded it in reality. And at the same time, like, he comes from this big, like, bolder than, anything world of Asgard, and she comes from Earth, and they kind of like, they domesticate them for a while. And it's like, this is a strange pairing. This is weird. But
oh my God. It would have been cute as hell if they had part of that montage was them making pancakes. Because of the later implications, which we'll get to when we get there, of pancakes. But anyway, we'll talk about that when we get to that.
Okay. I'm excited to get to the pancakes. For sure.
It's the very end of the movie, basically.
So, after this montage, we find out Gore kidnapped all of the children in town, and Thor and Mighty Thor are both work on searching the entire world for the kids throughout the whole night, and then in the morning they meet up back together in New Asgard. They have a town meeting to discuss what's happened, and they end up I think sending all of the most of the people from the town away, if I remember right, so that they can talk in private about it.
So I think it's immediately. I don't think the conversation happens the next morning. I think it happens like right away. I think they go from like the children, they're taking the children, and then like there's light because we're inside. I could be wrong, but I don't think they wait until morning to have that meeting. I think they do it right away.
I seem to remember like
the sun might have come up.
The sun,
because the kids were all in
outside.
bed, so it could be that the sun has come up by then.
Yeah, I think
fair enough.
Well, I think they were. I think that Thor. I think Thor and Mighty Thor. They spent the whole night searching for them around the world.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
And then Thor and Mighty Thor, they didn't have any chance to even actually talk until the morning because they were both out searching around the world.
So they come back to King Valkyrie addressing all the concerns of the people.
Yeah,
we haven't talked about the King Valkyrie montage yet, but that's fine.
I forgot all about that.
We
There's
skipped
a
it.
montage. I've forgotten the montage.
Yeah,
Or
she-
her
you
Old
get a-
Spice commercial.
Of doing,
Yeah, it
Yeah,
starts
yeah,
with
yeah.
her Old Spice commercial, which is the best part, really.
I didn't hate that. I didn't. Hate that.
I
I've just forgotten.
no, I didn't hate that either. I loved her wearing the suits. I thought that was
Mhm.
very nice. Eyes. And during the time when she is addressing the town, though it's not good representation, we get the reveal that Meek is trans, which is
Yes.
which I love that a major motion picture studio is doing that.
Yes.
Same.
That was very, I love that Meek was even there. Let's start with
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In a suit also.
as I said, it's not good representation, as he's barely
You might
there,
call it
but
meek representation.
but
Oh,
nice to have at least that small thing.
Ashamed of myself.
yeah, totally. And just the fact that like Meek's still alive. It's not like they've
Yeah,
been stepped on since. So that's good.
Which I feel like them getting stepped on is why she needed the new body, the new feminine body that was made for her.
Or maybe, she's just shoved it all into a suit and that's been that. But yeah. Strap it down.
So
The intricacies of Meek and their choices to how they present. I want to see that deleted scene. I don't know if we'll get it. I don't know if there was one.
Just a short.
Yeah, just a short on Disney
my
Plus.
God.
I'm here for it.
Yes.
It'd be awesome.
yeah.
Although it's also none of our business.
I can just imagine. I can just imagine though, since Meek doesn't speak English, and Korg seems to be the only person who can actually understand what Meek says. Meek has to be in there, in the operating room to tell them. Meek wants a female body now, so you please give her a female body, not a new male body.
Fair.
Yep.
Which that
We
would
have our ways,
be a
apparently.
pretty funny scene.
It would. It's also I have no clue if it's ever going to be something that we'll see, John.
Oh,
and
no.
I want you
Definitely.
to give up on this.
Well, we don't know what sort of parts Meek has because Meek was laying eggs in that one scene in Ragnarok. Or,
Yes.
there was just like things coming out of Meek.
Yeah, true. What the fuck?
But I'm
Yeah, maybe they're like a bird and that they can just sort of like change every now and then if they feel like it.
Yeah.
Parakeets will do that, for example. And Jurassic Park dinosaurs.
Life finds a way is what you're saying, Sprocket.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Meek finds a way.
in this,
That is actually how I captioned my photos about my Snapdragon on my stairs. Life finds a way.
in this scene we start getting some of the first catchphrases that Jane's trying. I can't remember what bring the rainbow, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which I love that.
I like that
so
too.
much.
That was
So taste the rainbow makes about as much sense as eat my hammer. So
Yeah.
true.
Oh man.
I feel like that's something that, like, as far as joke wise, they could have done more with. That like I was expecting more to come of that. The whole catchphrase, like theme of her character. But I mean, I guess it did pay off in the end. But I feel like it just happened the 2 times. So it's like that's something
Yeah.
you could easily have done like 5 more jokes with, Taika.
Yeah,
If you want to do a
again.
billion jokes in an under 2 hour movie, then just go with the right through line.
I mean, they went with lots of jokes, and you complained about those.
I did.
So-
But that's the problem. They didn't pick the right. Like, just focus them a little. Focus the jokes. There's 3
Aw.
things we could have made more jokes of, and then get rid of all the other shitty ones. Just saying.
I feel like most of the jokes were great. There were only a few times when I felt like it was too busy. And I think that's mostly just because like people were still laughing from other things that had happened. So like you couldn't hear them. I wish that is the one thing that I wish that I had like the ability to have taken notes on all of the lines that I thought were funny, but I didn't. I have a couple. So we were talking about the scene where they come back and Valkyrie is taking questions from all of the people. And they're like, oh, we need our soldiers. Half of our soldiers are dead. Half of our soldiers are always dead.
I do remember that.
That kills me.
The town hall scene was great.
We get
the eating of children line was.
Oh my god,
that was so funny.
I think the eating of the children
yes.
was probably my favorite line of the film.
Those were shameful times.
Damn it!
Like,
3 against 1.
I loved about that was that that's a thing in Norse mythology, like very much like in the comics, sort of, where like he like humans for a time were sacrificing children to their gods, and the gods were sort of like people, whatever. And there's this story about
tasty humans,
Thor learning basically having empathy for a human child, and getting to know it and stuff, and realizing that allowing children to be sacrificed in his name isn't a good thing. So I felt like that was possibly a reference to that story.
When I heard that line, I had hoped for that authenticity, for it to actually be referencing something real in Norse mythology.
Yeah.
I wanted that, but at the same time, I just felt it was so out of place to have him say, it's just, he's come so far. Why did he bring that up? Like, he would think to nope, didn't say that. Like,
he said, it's we'll come back. Yeah, something about the way he said we'll come back with children made it sound like we'll come back with dinner. And we will feast. Exactly. Right. Thank you. Not on the children. I thought that was great. It's a very modern sense of humor, I will say. It is the kind of jokes we all make, but I loved that line.
We see here probably one we see in the has at the end of the town hall scene probably one of the worst effects in the film, which is Axel's floating head. But
people complain about that. I don't see what's wrong with it.
I actually like that it's bad. I
thought it was fine.
I liked that it was jokingly bad. I thought that was really cool.
Is it supposed to be because he doesn't know how to control his
powers?
I think
so.
His vision thing is like
I did not get that at all.
He doesn't know how to use his. I forgot the line, but he's like, I don't know how to use my whatever eyes yet or something.
Yeah.
So it just looks like bad CG. That's fine. I kind of like that joke now.
Bad signal.
I also like that Axel is played by Idris Elba's actual son.
That
is
sweet. Interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, at least from what I've read, or at least from what I've heard, that's who played Axel.
I knew that everybody's kids was pretty much in this, but I didn't realize that one of them had that many lines. I'm surprised.
Yeah. So, Axel. I think this is where Axel teleports Thor's consciousness as to the cage, and he assures them he's going to save them, and before leaving, and but also that he tells them that they have strength, and I really liked how he not only was telling him, I'm going to save you, but also you have the strength to get through this. I like that he was telling him that.
That's a very adult thing to do, to be like, you kids are even braver than I was when I was your age. Like, it's a common adult trick.
Yeah. But
it works.
I like it mainly because of it being Thor who's saying it, because he doesn't he hasn't really spent much time trying to reassure kids before, so it's nice that he was actually able to do this well. And then and after Thor leaves, they start talking about some of Thor's previous actions and including cutting off Thanos' head, and then Gore appears, and he breaks the head off of an animal. It's like, wait, what? I thought you liked beheadings, which I really enjoyed that joke a lot.
It was like you're literally just talking about it.
Yeah, that whole scene was very like good at like doing things that children find are scary and like really upsetting them, and like showing that he is a creeper and a bad guy. And I thought that very effectively did that. Yeah.
A creeper is right.
and he also like gets to do the whole like, I knew a little girl once and she was brave and she was smart and she liked to draw and the gods didn't care. So it was like good to bring that back, and you felt that again, and you felt like his pain with that again.
And
that's a standout moment in the Gore performance. I feel like I do not forget that part when it comes to, I've only seen the movie once, and it's been what, 2-3 weeks ago now. And I remember that one first, that scene in the cage.
So because of seeing the kids, it's Thor now knows where to find them because he recognizes the planet they're on.
Right. Yeah, that was his. He says they were in the Shadow Realm.
They head out. First to decide they're going to go to Omnipotent City. Yes.
Where the grass is green and the girls are pretty.
Upon arriving there, we get some conversations between Thor and Jane about catchphrases, and also how this is Jane's first bad guy. I enjoyed that.
Jane's first bad guy. So
patronizing. We need to take a picture, Jane.
You never forget your first.
You put it on the fridge. You never forget your first. Oh yeah, that line. I got awkward.
Sexual innuendo. And this is when you get the whole scene with Valkyrie being like, "Oh, are you still? If you experience, it looks like you're experiencing some feelings there," and he's just like, "No, what?"
Well,
I really enjoyed.
And Thor asked Valkyrie if she's is experiencing any feelings for anyone, if I remember right.
Yeah, I feel like that was sort of like the same way though that people say like your mom's experiencing feelings. I think that's like I don't think he was being literal.
It seems like that's what I got from his tone, and then that whole thing was like, well, we all know whose team you're on, and he's like, yeah, I'm on Jane's team.
Team Jane.
Team Jane.
Which I would have liked. That's another thing I would have liked to see more of, was Valkyrie and Jane's friendship budding the way it did with like the little like speaker and everything. Like that moment was so funny. I would have loved to see more of that, because that was in the trailers. They used those moments to be like, Jane and Valkyrie are going to be hilarious in this movie together, and then it just kind of didn't happen beyond the moments we saw, and it's like, damn it, trailers.
And
don't show me stuff.
I didn't watch the trailers, so that was not really spoiled for me.
We know that if it's confirmed through this film completely that Valkyrie is lesbian, and what it would be
bisexual.
It would be kind of cool if they also had said that Jane was as bisexual, and that those two could be in a relationship together.
Well, yeah, that was sort of partially the implication, but like, John, you and your headcanon can have all the fantasies about Jane they want, okay? But
John, your tweets about like, I wish Zeus had flicked more people's. No, stop, John.
I mean, that would just be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I liked the camaraderie, the sort of brothership between Thor and Valkyrie in that moment, with it like Team Jane punch you in the arm, like like very much like the people stand their vampires, it was definitely like a Team Jacob, Team whatever kind of reference. I felt
Yeah.
like, like,
Yeah.
I want you to end up with Jane, and then you'll be happy.
Yeah.
So upon entering the meeting of the gods, the others can't stop talking, and so Zeus is like, "What are you all talking about down there?" And that causes Thor to come out and tell him about what Gore, and he's like, "Oh, Gore is not a threat," um, and he says, "If you don't stop, that you will not be invited to the orgy."
I was surprised. that was in the movie. I'll be honest. That line.
Oh yeah,
That was in there a few times.
Yeah,
Did bring up the orgy a lot.
like
they
3
made
times.
they made I think one joke about an orgy in Ragnarok, but then they like they
Yes.
just put
Yeah.
they just cranked that up to 11 with this one.
Yeah. I enjoyed both in this scene. I enjoyed both Thor's adoration for Zeus and his like just like sycophantic like obsession with like, oh, I'm the god of thunder, he's the god of lightning. There's clearly like a big bomb there. It's like, that's great. And then I loved the fact when in general I didn't hate Zeus. I just liked it more when he got down from his throne and like whispered to Thor what he's really doing and what he's really like.
That.
I liked that a lot more. I just wish again, we have not seen a lot of what Gore is capable of at this point because they don't show it. He was no threat in Zeus's mind, and then Thor kills Zeus, and that just threw me for another loop. I was like, why did that happen?
Because I mean, I thought it made total sense because he had just killed Korg, so like Thor was, like.
But did he really kill him? Did Valkyrie really die? Did Sif really die? Did Korg really die? Did anybody really die? No, but they kept faking us out. I'm just saying they do that cheap thing where it's like, this person you care about, and when it comes to stake raising, you don't raise stakes by making people come back as a face. You know what I mean?
I thought that was my only problem with that, was that it just seemed like Taika Waititi being like, but I want to stay in the movie.
Yeah,
it's my movie. I'll do what I want. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But no, like, I don't know. I was okay with that. I was okay with most of the like people dying and not dying because I felt like the goal was very much to like make you think that no one in this movie was going to actually die. That was intentional.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to play with people's emotions with that and to really make it a bigger thing what happens at the end.
Exactly.
But
That's
then there's the after credit scene, and is she dead, or is
She
there
is
more
dead.
money to be
No,
made?
she is
Dude,
dead.
Just saying.
Yeah, like the idea was that like these people aren't the same asshole gods that what's his name was upset about, that Gore was upset about. These are gods who actually keep their promises, was the point of that. And also because we want Jane in a happily ever after to some extent.
Yeah.
So I thought that made sense.
Fair.
And also, sorry, what we were just talking about before we got on this tangent about how much Keith hates this movie.
Hey, I'm more swayed in the direction of not hating but disliking. I guess I'm on like the slightly less than hated stance right now. I'm being swayed.
That's adorable. Yeah, so literally though, where were we?
I think we're at the end of the omniscient city
we're
scene.
At Zeus. Like we had the fight, we have the flick like during the scene where he like flicks his costume off too hard. Okay, we didn't talk about when they walk in and like all the gods that you see. Like it was so funny to see Korg's god, the Ninny and the Nani,
yeah.
like sitting on a throne
Throne
of
of
scissors.
scissors.
Yep.
So great.
Oh yeah.
Because the rock beat scissors,
Mhm.
as was talked about in the previous movie. I don't know, anything that referenced Ragnarok like that just made me so happy.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
And the bow god, that was great.
Yes.
There's the god of dumplings, and there should be.
Mm-hmm.
That part did make me laugh. Damn it.
There was an and like they didn't show them, but there was but they referenced that there's a god of carpentry there, referencing Jesus Christ.
I didn't get that.
I did not get that.
Yeah, I didn't get that
Yes.
until someone else said it. I was like, wait a second, how did I not understand that?
I wasn't actually raised Christian, so maybe that's what.
I went to a Catholic school for 9 years and I didn't get that.
I went to one for 4, but yeah.
I went to none for none, and I don't think. I
Oh
got
my
that
god,
till
they were gonna
college.
make you be a nun?
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. Like, Canada's strange.
Keith was in a convent.
I think they misunderstood, and so did I.
Yeah.
I really liked that Russell Crowe did a Greek accent.
I have
Did
such
he?
mixed feelings.
Yes, he did. He tried to do a Greek
I'm not an
accent.
authority, so I can't really say, but I do remember after, I think it was Leo DiCaprio did a Rhodesian accent for Blood Diamond. People came out saying, like, both sides were there was an argument for both sides. People saying, "Oh man, it was so good," and people being like, "That sucked." So I cannot tell you whether or not a Greek accent was done in that moment in that movie, but I want to know.
Well, he was definitely trying to do a Greek accent.
course.
At least.
Academy Award
Which is
actor.
nice, because most versions of Greek gods that are seen in cinema, they just give them a British accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
It's
they sound
true.
like Zed from Men in Black. It's weird. It's weird when they Zed, the actor who played. Never mind. And
And-
Disney
Okay.
played the same guy, same actor, played Zed.
Gotcha. Sure.
Facts no one cares about with Keith.
I was listening to an Australian podcast, and what they were saying, because Russell Crowe is Australian, right? They were saying that basically, like, there was a period of time where there were a bunch of Greek immigrants who moved to Australia, and they tended to open up like fish and chip businesses. And like what he was saying was that like he was doing like a classic Greek fish and chip owner accent is what they were saying. Like this is like a standard like comedy bit in Australia, and
Damn.
he was basically doing that.
Oh, there you go. I think to me at that point he'd know more about the Greek accent than myself, at least. If they did that and went and made fish and chip trucks, that makes sense.
But yeah, I just thought it was so funny.
But when I went to see the film with a friend of mine, and we grew up in a Greek Catholic church, so we actually do know a bit of seeing Greek accents, and it actually I think it was pretty accurate.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I
that was
didn't
nice.
even realize it was Russell Crowe. So I knew long before this podcast, but when I watched it, I had no idea. So I think that says good things.
He does disappear into his characters quite well. It is nice to see Russell Crowe flexing his acting abilities these days, because I can't remember the last thing I saw him in that I was like, other than like Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling was like the last thing that I loved with Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
And that's like at least
I think that's the
6
last
or
thing
7 years
I've
ago.
seen him in.
Yeah.
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 And
You know
then
why.
and also like he like 8 years ago or something, he played Superman's father in Man of Steel.
Yeah. and that was a good choice too for him. But that was so long ago that, like, the only thing I knew he had been in was that Tom Cruise Mummy movie, because he was going to play Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde if they had continued with those movies. And no one was like interested in watching Tom Cruise in another Mummy movie, so they were like, "No, never mind, we're good." Yeah. Universal's been trying to kick that shit off for a while. It's not been going well.
They keep trying to do it, and it's like, but they're trying to do it again and again without connecting the previous film. So it's just like, why are you just keep trying this universe again and again?
That was the one where like Russell Crowe was going to be Dr. Jekyll, who was going to be like the Agent Fury, the Nick Fury of the monsters of Universal. And it's like, no one asked for this. No one wants a monster team of like Dracula and the Mummy and No one, like, I guess maybe some people do, but it's just, it was so strange.
Fascinating.
Both is and isn't, but I know that.
Right. Yeah, that's what I meant. No. Anyway, cool.
So now this is something we were talking about right before the recording, but who do you think after Hulk and Ragnarok and Thor in this, who do you think in Thor 5 that Taika will have show their ass?
Right.
I think that Taika will do it himself as Korg.
Well, right.
Yeah, I think Korg's a good fit.
Yeah, rock hard ass.
Either he'll do it as Korg, or he will also give himself another role in the film so he can just be his own human ass.
Just so he can show his butt. I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah.
Same.
I don't know. Maybe it's time for more female butt on this show. On this in the Thor universe, we will see Sif's ass in the next movie.
Sif ass.
That's actually just the name of the movie. Her ass gets magical powers. And...
Fine. Just desserts.
So they after Zeus flicks too hard, they and the rest of them finally come over to help him, which they did not come over to help him at first, which I really thought was hilarious. How they were just like, no, we're just gonna let him deal with this for a bit, and also how Korg. He very much was obviously enjoying seeing Thor's ass.
Yeah, later he says so.
He loved it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Okay with it, loved it.
But they finally come out and help him, and they start fighting off all of the guards, I guess, in Omnipotent City. I don't think that the guards were actually gods here, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I think they were all specifically Zeus's guards.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the gold bloodbath scene was gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was great. More of that, please.
God. A friend of mine's podcast asked, or two friends of mine actually, Annabelle and Matt. When they were reviewing it, Annabelle accidentally called it a golden shower, and not knowing what
and then he was like, "Look it up." I'm like, "Please don't look it up, Annabelle. Don't."
Matt's like, "You need to look that up right now." She's like, "I don't want to."
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I loved it how that they did because as that made it so they can actually have a lot of blood on screen without it becoming R-rated.
Very true.
And it was just super cool to see them all like so much pretty, just all of them like streaked in this gold blood stuff, and then to have all that action going on as they distract the gods to like grab the Valkyrie goes and grabs the thunderbolt as Korg's head,
And
what's left of Korg's face, like
Yeah.
whistles
Wrapped
for the
to her hair.
goats. The
Yeah.
rainbow comes down through the ceiling, etc.
and when Valkyrie goes up and grabs the as Zeus's lightning bolt, she kisses the hand of one of Zeus's his maidens, which
Yes.
I really enjoyed.
The most organic moment of LGBT representation right there, the
Yeah.
bisexual kiss of Valkyrie.
Yeah.
And I say that she's bisexual because I'm pretty sure the actress confirmed that she is. Not so much
Yeah.
that it was maybe spoke to in the movie, but I was really
It is.
happy to see
I
that.
had
It
thought
felt
that
very much
that she was simply a lesbian, but she
No.
may be a
nothing simple about this lesbian. She is bisexual.
In the comics, I believe she's canonically bisexual because she has a
Okay.
relationship with, I forget who it is, but both male and
Yay.
female characters.
Not
Okay.
Korg.
Not Korg.
Not
Yeah,
Korg.
Korg. Yeah. But it just that moment
Korg
felt,
is explicitly gay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
that moment
Korg is
felt
only
very
attracted to other rocks.
other Korgs. That moment felt very like
It-
real to the character, where it didn't feel like pandering. It didn't feel like it was kind of shoehorning it in. It felt like a real moment that the character would do, and that's why I
Yeah.
really liked that part. And then they
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about other things later. I was just like, this feels like it could have been edited out overseas. Like it just didn't feel as important to the story. And I don't
But it
necessarily.
wasn't
So,
edited
I
out
actually I
overseas.
haven't heard anything about them editing anything for this film out.
No.
No,
I-
the last big
They,
thing
they've
was
heard,
pissed people off.
I
Yeah.
heard that countries wanted them to edit out scenes from Multiverse of Madness, but they refused to.
good.
Which
And the
I'm,
same thing
I'm
with
so
Eternals,
happy
right?
that they
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that they are starting to refuse these requests from
Yeah.
asshole countries.
Yeah, if you're gonna
Yeah.
try to make money that way, we don't want your money.
Yeah.
Like we have enough assholes in this country who would
Yeah.
like us to edit those things
know,
out, and we're
Simon-
happy to piss them off too.
I think
So
I think it's so funny. Like the people try to say that that these companies are trying to make money by putting in LGBTQ representation, but the thing is, if there was no representation in a film, then people who support LGBT people, they're still going to go see the film. But if you have that representation in there, you're literally excluding half the country, at least in America, who are against it. So if anything, they're losing money by doing
Yep.
that, and that's why I will never understand the opinion of they're just trying to make money off of it.
I would
It's a
also
cash grab.
argue that it's not half the country. It's the squeaky wheels get the grease. The ones that are
Yeah.
talking the most about that kind of shit and putting up the biggest front about it
Mhm.
are a few loud people,
Mhm.
and that's it. The majority of the country is fine with this stuff, and they want it
just
to
like
be
the
represented.
loud people who
Yeah.
didn't like this movie. When most people loved this movie, they're just
Mhm.
happy to love it quietly.
Ah,
Same with Eternals.
Oh my
Resident
god, Eternals was so
fan
good.
here.
I turned
Yeah,
around
same,
on Eternals real
same,
quick,
girl.
so I am
I-
malleable when it comes to my opinions, but I'll tell you, Eternals was
You
better
didn't-
than this movie, and I've seen Eternals several times since. And my fiance is
Eternals-
screaming from the other room, screaming at me from the other room.
Eternals was more solid
kidding,
than this
I'm kidding.
movie, I will say. I
Did
thought
your-
Eternals was more
Cohesive?
consistent than this movie, but I
Yes.
loved
Yeah,
this
I
movie.
agree.
That's what I'm saying.
This movie was more fun.
Yeah.
You say your
Wow.
fiance was yelling at you from the other room. Just she
was.
like this film better than the Eternals?
I have yet to ask
Why
I get
isn't
to
she
Don't
on
wanna
this
ask.
call, Keith?
because
Keith, can we, if,
Okay.
if she liked this movie, can we replace you with her?
did not.
I,
You're more
I
likely
bet-
to get.
okay.
You're
Grab
more
a
likely to
frying
sway me.
pan!
I bet she would like
No.
like being told that we want her more than Keith.
Oh, of course. Of course. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't like that? I have to listen to this guy all the time. My gosh.
Yourself?
No, I'm much more likely to be swayed than she
So,
is.
You already saw it twice, though. You're not going to change your mind.
I've only
That's
seen it once.
fine.
I really
okay.
enjoyed seeing the goats oats come in with the
Yes.
chariot through the window. I thought
So
that was really cool. And then you had two celestials were right outside the building, which was is really cool.
I like that.
That I
forgot
have
about
been
that part.
told, but I don't
Mhm.
remember. I might have thought they were just statues, you know?
They kind of like
And
make
that's
them
why they
duck,
didn't
you know?
register.
They're like,
Yeah,
whoa. They're like, whoa, goats. They're
Yeah,
like afraid of them. That's the secret to killing
They
a celestials. Hit them with space goats.
and they definitely looked pretty similar to Airsham.
Yeah, they might have been featured in that sequence in the Eternals movie. One of those, like the
so
green and the yellow one or something.
we get
Primary.
them on the boat, and here we have both Thor and Jane outside, where Jane tells him finally about how she has cancer, or as Thor's trying to tell her that he wants to battle alongside her for the rest
He
of their
wants
lives.
someone to feel shitty about, and he's
Yes.
gonna get someone to feel shitty about.
And
That's all I
and you
boy.
also have
Lucky to get
also
that in this
have
world.
at the same time I'm Valkyrie and Korg having a conversation inside, which I really enjoyed their conversation inside.
Yes, no, that was so great. Them like they were just like doing karaoke and talking.
I like
And
the karaoke bit.
Yeah.
I think because I think one of the reasons I love it so much is because one of the biggest things I love with these films is even more than though I love the action, I love character interactions.
Same.
I want to see these characters just hanging out together, and that was really Valkyrie and Korg, or even though Korg is just ahead, they were just hanging out together, or talking about things in their lives.
And that is one thing that I loved about so, you know, obviously Age of Ultron, not a great movie. But I loved that whole scene where they're at the Hawkeye's cabin, and you know, they're all just hanging out for a bit and just talking and being people. There's a couple scenes like that, and it's a very Joss Whedon thing. But yeah, that was probably my favorite thing about that movie, was just watching these superheroes be people for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved this scene. And I love the conversation they have just about Valkyrie's love life. And you know, yeah, Korg being you know, you find all these dalliances only, and it only serves to numb the pain. And she's just yeah, something like that.
See, I would have loved that moment. It would have felt less forced to me if they gave the Valkyrie love interest that they were talking about a little bit more screen time, or a name, or agency of any kind of just give her a little more than just, oh, the girl you liked when she died, oh, that's sad. That's all they say, really. And I feel like that's what I remember anyways. Maybe I'm remembering that scene wrong, but they don't really expand on that at all. And it's oh, funny Korg, two dads, haha, there's the gay representation there. And then it's oh, Valkyrie had a girlfriend once. And it's you're not telling me anything. You're just saying people are gay in the MCU, and now we're just, hey, good for them, yay. And I wanted a little more substance is all.
I understand that. I understand that opinion, but also I like how this. I like how, though it wasn't much, but I like how, unlike with Ragnarok, they explicitly told you,
yeah,
Korg is gay, Valkyrie's gay.
Baby steps.
Yes, it's baby steps, but it's
what I should
good
expect.
that we're starting to get there.
Yeah,
honestly, I felt yes, you are hearing that Korg's species that I can't remember the name of, Cronins, right? That Cronins you know, pretty much seem to only have the one gender, and that, you know, that is something that, you know, we primarily recognize as male. That I recognized as like sort of, a blatant sort of gay representation. And yet with the Valkyrie part of it, I wasn't even thinking about the gay representation. I was just thinking about like Valkyrie backstory and like, like where Valkyrie, like figuring out like where Valkyrie is at the moment and where Valkyrie's emotions and head are focused on in this point.
Yeah.
Like she is more concerned with being the king of her kingdom than she is with like finding love right now. And she's mostly doing the shallow thing while she figures stuff out. But she seems to be basically okay with that.
I'd be so psyched if they announced there was like a Valkyrie Disney Plus series coming out.
Me too.
Oh yeah,
yes,
that would be great.
Please delve into this because we keep getting like her teased as the one of the coolest characters in anything we see her in. And it's like, give us more Valkyrie.
Yeah. Like I loved her in this, but I definitely would have loved to see a lot more of her in this. And I feel like we were kind of promised that she was going to be looking for love or finding or like that she was going to be like in a relationship in this movie. And so I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't get that. But
the interviews and stuff and the marketing,
100%. There is a time where they were talking with I think fans or something at a theater, and the people are complaining about the fact that after one fan asked how gay is this film, they said that this is super gay. And the reason I think that is a stupid ass complaint from people that it's not actually a super gay is because if you are trying to promote your film and someone asks you that, are you going to say yeah, this film's awful about representation? They're put on the spot. They kind of have to say something like that. They can't they can't just say no, our film is backwards or something. Like, no, that's not going to make people want to see it.
Yeah. No, and the thing is, with decades of zero representation, I should be more forgiving of baby steps, because that's what we're getting from Disney, and it's a big deal. And it's it should be, but it also isn't a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, from the perspective of just Disney and just MCU, it's like, okay, yeah, this is a big deal, but it's not that bold. It's not that brave, because all these other independent stuff that you could see media from and see representation from has well progressed past something that is trying to impress or try to, I guess, please so many people. So it's a 6 of one. There's a dichotomy to it that's tough to gauge.
Yeah, I feel like it's funny because I haven't heard so what you're saying, that like there was a press kind of meeting where Taika said this movie was super gay. Is that what you're saying?
I think it was Natalie Portman who said it.
Damn it,
Natalie.
Okay, that makes sense.
They were at
I
think they were at a fan screening, and afterwards they were doing Q&A, and one of the fans shouted, "How gay is the film?" And people were okay. Taika said, "I'm gonna let you take this as Natalie." And so Natalie, it was just said, "It's super gay." Like, I don't know how people that are mad they
it too
wasn't
seriously,
actually as
super
gay as they were
yeah.
expecting, and it's like, what did you expect them to say in that situation? They were put on the spot. They were forced to answer that. Like, kind of.
I just imagine the camera on Taika when she says that. He's like, ooh. She said it.
I mean,
super
she
gay,
can't be like, well, it's like, I guess it's like kind of gay.
It's a little
gay.
gay.
Psych up the audience.
Like, that's not.
It's kind of gay.
So we also at the same time, as I said, this is where we have Jane talking about cancer, and I really enjoyed how Thor's is like super supportive of her in this moment.
This was sincere Thor. This was the
Yes.
Thor I
Mhm,
remember
mhm.
liking. We get like a flashback of a different character being played by Chris Hemsworth.
And
See, I don't understand the whole general different character complaint. I don't understand it
I know.
at all.
I know you
though I
don't.
hear it a lot.
He was a himbo. He was a big dumbass this whole movie
He
until there was a
wasn't
couple moments where
dumbass.
he was.
When is he a dumbass? He doesn't
All
do
the
anything
rest of the
stupid. I don't see him being a dumbass once.
He breaks
being-
New Asgard's court, like what do they call it? The town hall.
Town hall.
Destroys their ceiling in the first 5 minutes of it. It's like, listen, I've got a speech. Destroys the. What are you
I don't
doing?
know.
Wait.
I
I'm
don't
pretty
know,
sure
man.
that was Jane who broke through the ceiling.
No,
He
it was
did it
Thor.
first.
She went
It was
after.
Thor. It was
And
He
he
was
Thor.
like, well, this
crashed on the
hole's
outside.
already here, so
See, I feel like I don't know. So again, I have some familiarity with Thor from the comics. I mostly have familiarity with Thor from Norse mythology, and Thor from Norse mythology is kind of a dumbass in that way. He is sort of like he has a tendency to sort of forget
the growth he's
be
had
sort
over
of
10
I'm
films.
right. He does things that like, oh, I'm super strong and I fucked that thing up. Oops. Which, a little bit. So, but I guess I didn't feel like he was stupid. And I feel like what that is sort of more Taika poking fun at superhero tropes in general. And like being like, this is like superhero tropes, in the real world. Like what would happen if you did this? You'd be breaking all these ceilings and people would be pissed off about it. So it doesn't bother me.
Fair. It just felt like he got like sucked back into, oh, I'm Thor and I have a brain between my ears and I'm not an idiot. Well, as soon as she mentioned she had cancer, I was like, that's the Thor. Suddenly he's like smart and compassionate and clever and helpful. And this is the Thor I've been missing this whole movie. It just felt very yeah.
I understand people being a little bit annoyed to the idea that he is a little bit obsessed with being funny and not as serious as he used to be, and not as like sort of Shakespearean drama as he used to be. I see that and I understand that. What I don't understand is the idea that he is stupid at any point, because it does not read as dumb to me. It just, I don't know. I don't see it as him being an idiot, but I hear this complaint a bunch that he's coming off as stupid to people, and I don't feel like he's doing anything that says like my brain no worky. He's just like I don't know. He's just in a comedy.
Oh.
This is where a second viewing for me would definitely come in handy at this point, because I could write it all down. But these are only a couple examples I can think of that really point out how dumb he is. There's been people sharing like clips of him from past movies, like even the first Thor movie. He has this beautiful moment with her where he's talking about magic and science and how it's all the one. I come from a place where it's one and the same. Like he knows what he's talking about. It just doesn't feel like he's getting rid of all that for the sake of jokes. And it's
I don't feel like anything he does in last movie or this one come off as him being dumb.
I would say Ragnarok, he was smart.
Yeah, I don't think he's stupid in this either.
It's different. This weird moment where the Thor that I saw trick his own trickster brother into throwing him at the guards and then zapping him to go steal the thing because he knows his brother's going to betray him, and he goes and does. That's a Thor that has learned from his mistakes. That is a smarter Thor. And now this one is like, oh, he's been through his like 5 years after fucking up kind of stage, and now he's just dumb again. I don't know. Maybe I relate to it too much, but maybe that's why I'm projecting a little bit of it myself. I'm mad.
Yeah.
I'm mad that he makes me too. I'm too represented in a movie for once. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway. This
We're not going to agree on this, so.
Other scene we also have where even though Keith wants to tell us that he thinks there's too many jokes in the film, he actually wanted another joke in this scene, as he wants a scene with with something happening with the beer.
Yes.
I thought something was going to happen and it didn't, which was weird.
It is weird. You pour beer on a thing that's steering the ship and they don't make the joke. where the ship wobbles? What? It's a missed opportunity, which makes me
Didn't miss it.
confused.
Didn't
I'm not
miss
saying it
at
would have
all.
perfected the film. It definitely wouldn't have made it
See,
perfect,
I
but it would have
think-
made it better.
I don't know. I don't think it was necessary.
Uh,
I also feel like it was so you've had like this whole sort of interaction with him and the hammer, and this is supposed to be a moment where he is trying to sort of connect with the hammer. What I'm upset about is that they never once in the movie make the joke about him. If he, he's in love with two hammers, maybe they should just think about having a polyamorous relationship.
That's good. If we're talking baby steps, that would be a big one for MCU. That'd be a big one for Disney. Go polyamorous joke right now, and they're like I'm on board with it. I love that idea. However, if they can't make more strides when it comes to the gay community, they can't make that joke about the or that suggestion for polyamorous. That's a shame. We're not there yet, Sprocket. We're not there yet.
I'm sure if they had let Taika answer that question, I'm sure Taika didn't answer the question because his answer would have been, this film is not nearly gay enough.
Yeah.
And he knew that, so he had to let Natalie do it instead. Because considering what else he was up to when he was making this movie and the show that he made during this movie, which is basically the most gay friendly, non-queer baiting thing that has ever been widely, appreciated.
Are you talking
in
about
America.
the pirate movie?
Yeah,
Or the pirate show?
yeah.
Our flag
Show?
means death. I need
Our
to watch
Flag
this
Means
now.
Death.
Yes.
You need to watch this now.
Okay.
He
You haven't
also
watched
had.
it yet?
Yeah.
He also had one of the characters in Jojo Rabbit who's supposed to be in I think the Nazi army was
Talking about Justin Hammer?
Yeah, the character played by him and was as gay in that film. I definitely think this was probably, if anything, one of the times where he probably does wish he could have included more in it.
I bet he does.
But Disney is still not at a point where they're willing to do that yet.
There. Yeah.
I mean,
So,
considering how far he did go in this movie and how many people are complaining about even that.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. People are weird.
Yeah. So I think the next scene is where they face plant onto the shadow planet.
You were Amanda, you had a great sort of depiction of this scene earlier. You were talking about your opinions on this scene earlier.
Oh, was it just about the delayed scream from the goats, or is this about the lighting? Okay.
I was talking about the delayed scream. Yeah, impact.
And how this planet is so small that they just are able to flop right back over onto their side to the other right side up.
Classic Journey to the Moon perspective joke.
I love it.
So good.
All of it.
You think this planet is far away? Nope, it's just very small.
So they go into this hut that we guess belongs to Gore, and Gore ends up capturing all of them, and I think this is probably one of the best scenes in the film. I think seeing them in this this black and white landscape, and how creepy Gore is as he has them all tied up and all this stuff.
Just them when they first get to the planet, and I'm gonna get the order of things all messed up, but watching the shadow creatures all like move across this planet and how they move in that sort of stop motion, like old fashioned practical effects kind of way, much like in Doctor Strange. Like that's one of the things I actually really liked about Doctor Strange was the effects that looked like Sam Raimi's like old fashioned practical effects.
Oh yeah.
And it's sort of like that choppiness makes it super creepy.
Definitely.
And John, you were talking earlier about the lighting.
No, that wasn't me who was talking about the lighting.
Was that you, Keith? Oh, it was you. Sorry, Amanda, go on.
No problem. Yeah, I wish I was trying to look up what exactly the technique was before, but I haven't been able to find a very specific article. And I think Taika's mentioned that he is friends with this company that they figured out a way to light the set. And I think the way that it was described is that they just put lights around the entire set so that there's pretty much, it's coming from every angle. And so that the way that they can achieve this sort of black and white effect is practical. So they don't have to do it in post. So it's not a digital effect. I'm sure that there's digital, edits to it in some capacity, but it's not entirely.
I would guess mainly digital edits to it would be for like showing how Zeus's his lightning bolt still has color to it.
Right. Yeah. So I guess it's just the way that they shot it with all those lights around that they were able to achieve that look, which is really cool. I forget the name of it and the production company that does it, but I think they might be local to Australia or New Zealand. They're in the credits, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Jane realizes that that Gore needs the Stormbreaker, so she grabs Stormbreaker from Thor and throws it off the planet right before Gore arrives. And I thought that was hilarious seeing her just throw it off and Thor just be like, what's going on?
Yeah, that was one of the things that like I feel like there were a bunch of people who were complaining about things they didn't see happen, like they didn't understand like that. They were like, why would the source of how could Stormbringer, which is this fairly new thing, be the source, be the key to this ancient I can't remember what it's called right now.
The Bifrost?
Yeah.
No, the thing that he's trying to get into. Right, to eternity. And it's like, it's not Stormbringer, it's just anything that can make Bifrost. And it happens to be that Stormbringer can make Bifrost. And like they make it, I feel like they make it pretty clear that it's Bifrost, but it's one of those things that if you're like in a loud theater, you might have missed. But yeah.
So Gore is able to get them all tied up, and he just is really creepily get a like tries to talk to him, get their morale down, and like he's able to I think smell that the cancer on Jane, which was really interesting seeing him talk to her about the cancer. Trying to think, and when he finally came to Thor, like he was he kept telling him like he needs to call the axe and axe or he'll kill the other two, and that and this gets it's Thor to call the axe. They're able to get out of there, but Gore is or gets it's the axe and but as well this he stabs Valkyrie, I think, and then immediately from upon on getting back to Asgard, our Jane has and drops Ops Mjolnir as her health is declining, and Thor takes her to the Asgard hospital.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. No, I was still sort of just Yes.
I didn't know where what exactly to talk about with the with all the things that Gore said in that to them, because I don't remember what all he said.
No,
Right.
yeah.
It
And
was a
like there's
lot.
and it's mostly like I feel like all of the stuff that happens on the Shadow Planet is like primarily about like the look and the mood and the feel.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I love the desaturation so much, and yeah, just the way the things that they have that light bring up a little bit of red, a little bit of blue here and there. And it's just like it's it adds to the feeling of hopelessness, sort of to desaturate color from things like the swamps of sadness and the never-ending story. But yeah, it is, he does sort of like, so this is actually the scene where Gore tells Thor to choose love.
Yes.
When he's like strangling Natalie Portman to death, and asking him to call the hammer.
I had heard this theory before that Gore, you were about to say it, weren't you, John?
Yeah,
go ahead.
That Gore told him that because that actually was his ultimate plan to ask eternity to bring back his daughter. I'm not sure whether I believe that theory or not. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. What say the rest of you?
I mean, he was possessed by the sword at that point, so I doubt it.
I mean, maybe that was the real Gore coming through, and but it seems very buried and up to interpretation. So it's like, if you're gonna have a character do that, make it a teensy bit more clear. But I don't like it. It is something people have to dig to find. But
I don't think it was his plan from the beginning.
I mean, that kind of negates the whole movie if that was his plan. I mean, although then we don't see him killing anybody, so maybe that was it.
Maybe he was the hero.
He does kill lots of other gods.
Right.
We know he does because they talk about the fact that he did, even if we don't see it. But yeah, no, I don't think that makes any sense. It's like Wanda going crazy. I do think they sort of made it more clear that he was possessed by something, where a lot of the times in these movies, like there's things that like Kevin Feige will be like, oh yes, Loki was being controlled by the Mind Stone, and yet that like never comes up when we're like reviewing his history about why he was so bloodthirsty and vicious, killing all those people when he didn't actually enjoy it like he looked like he did. It's like we could easily say he was being controlled by the Mind Stone in those moments, but no one's saying that.
I'd almost prefer like enough with the things that corrupt people. Just give a backstory to a villain that makes enough justification for what their mindset might be in the moment. Sorry, I just hit my desk. But don't make it about some dark hold being come over them, because then at least like with Thanos, nothing was corrupting his mind. He had made up his mind long ago, and his character was the most fleshed out villain we've ever gotten. Yes, like arguably, I'd say like maybe Loki, but Loki itself, he's too flip-floppy. He's all over the place, and that's why he's a hero now. So it's like, I don't know.
I hope they don't make him too much of a hero, but yeah.
I know, right? Like,
because it won't be fun if they make him too much of a hero.
I have to, unfortunately, I'm so sorry to Sprocket. I'm so sorry to Amanda. I have to jump off at this point, only because it's gone a little bit longer than I expected, but I have loved talking with both of you about this. And you've made me want to see the movie a second time to get a better grasp on it and have a better opinion about it, because the same thing happened for me with most movies that I've of the MCU that I've maybe had a bad first watching of. But yeah, thank you.
I would recommend.
Thank you. I thought you had great comments.
Yeah,
I agree. I would recommend seeing it, making sure you're seeing it in like a good theater that isn't like see it at a good theater with a big screen, and like pay the extra money, because the effects definitely look better on a bigger screen, etc. But also like at this point you're not gonna good.
I was only able to see it with the damn 3D goggles, the 3D glasses, and I was like, the screen's huge, but could you have made it without the need for the foggable, smudgeable, shaded?
Yeah, no.
That's
I'll-
awful.
Yes, I will take that into consideration, Sprocket.
And I'll send you a text, Keith, when we're done, so
Okay.
so you can end off the
Yeah.
Zoom call.
And I'll send you the file. Sounds good, man. All right, it was great talking to you all, and
yeah.
good night.
Thanks, Keith.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
We see Thor with Jane in the hospital, and it's a very emotional scene here. I really enjoyed this, like Thor's like saying like, no, you got to stay here to here, you are or you're gonna die, and like Jane being like, well, it's like I'm probably going to die anyway, so might as well fight. And she ends up giving in to Thor and and staying for now. And Thor goes to goes off to deal with Gore. But first he talks to Valkyrie, who Valkyrie as well is going to stay behind. Is there anything from these scenes that either of you would like to talk about?
I mean, I feel like people have complained about like, oh, well, why didn't Valkyrie fight? And like, absolutely, like she literally was just like basically in surgery to have her kidney removed. Like, I feel like she was recovering still, so she probably couldn't fight. And I feel like she says that she's like, I think I lost a kidney. I'd come with you, but I'd probably just die, and that wouldn't be very helpful.
And like, if it were simply she was going that her only responsibilities was to in this fight, then yes, she would be willing to die for it. But she wants to stay behind because she has the entire nation, I guess, of New Asgard. I think they're counting it as a nation, and to take care of. And so she can't let them down by dying.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I just thought that that was their easy way of like, this is going to be the Thor fight at the end, and so this is how we keep Valkyrie out of the battle. Because I know that she I'm not sure exactly of like her mortality, but I know she does have certain like inhuman abilities where, you know, like the gods as well, because she lives for a very long time. She can heal from things. Obviously that was like a more severe injury than just like a scrape or whatever. But that is a good point that you brought up, John, about her wanting to stick around, because she does have that whole group of New Asgard to kind of look after too. I did think, I don't know if either of you thought this, the scene where she like passes off the Thunderbolt to him, and they're having just like a tiny conversation, but it looks like they walk past each other, and it almost looks like they're going to come back and say something else to each other, but they don't. Like I was expecting there to be another little beat. Like they both are just like facing opposite ways. They walk away, and it looks like they're going to come back, but they don't. So I don't know if I was the only one who thought that or not, but
yeah,
I don't remember.
That was cut.
Yeah,
maybe
I could have definitely. So
my theory, actually. Sorry.
No, you can talk. I was just going to go to the next scene. So
okay,
you can.
So my theory though is that because I have thought about this a little bit, that along with the Thunderbolt, that it's possible, this isn't really a theory, this is more like a hope for something that is a little bit of a hole, that she actually got some other things while they were in Omnipotent City. And so if there is a cut or a moment where they were like going to go back together and say something else or do something else that was cut, I am hoping like that was maybe a moment when she was going to like maybe give him something else that she had stolen from Omnipotent City, which explains what he is able to do later that we've never seen him do before. And that also is a little overpowered. I know that it's something he can do in the comics, but it's still just like a little overpowered without some explanation or like a magic item or something.
Right.
I can
for
see
sure.
that. Yeah. Thor ends up using using the lightning bolt. I think as the Bifrost to get to eternity. And he is able. I think he's able to get the kids and but then Gore starts summoning his shadow creatures, and so Thor has to give some of his power to the kids, which I think this is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Which I for one actually really enjoyed seeing all these kids have Thor powers. I thought that was really fun.
Yep. Agreed.
It
was one of the cooler scenes in the movie.
Oh yeah, and the fact that like all of these children are all played by the children of most of the actors in the film. Like wow. You have like Chris Hemsworth's kids, it's Natalie Portman's, and it's Taika Waititi's, Christian Bale's. I think they also had one of Mark Ruffalo's kids. As they had Idris Elba's kid. And I think there were a few others, but it's really cool to me seeing all of that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was so many. I knew a few of those, but I didn't realize it was such a long list of them were just all like children of actors from the MCU in general. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And they're all sort of in an age bracket too, which is interesting. The general like theme of kids in this movie is something I really liked about it.
Yeah. So I think the kids end up doing a pretty good job against the shadow creatures, but Thor ends up needing definitely some help against Gore, and this is where Jane shows up because she decided that she's not going to stay behind, and they start fighting and Gore together, and they end up I think Mjolnir they threw at him and breaks the so they pulled pieces of it into Mjolnir, I think. Yeah, to break it.
She does the whole breaking of Mjolnir thing because the sword has broken already in the fight, and he's like pulling it back together with the magic, and then she throws the shards of Mjolnir at it and like collects those shards and pulls them into Mjolnir, and then she smashes when she smashes Mjolnir down, that shatters the pieces that are there between the pieces of Mjolnir, which also.
And I think this is where she yells, "Eat my hammer!"
Yes.
I love that.
Which she had threatened to say earlier. Yeah.
Yes.
I do want to talk about the scene where Jane has cancer a little bit, and they're having that conversation, because that was a pretty big deal. I feel like that whole conversation, and I really liked that scene because, like, he very much does not want her to come because he wants her to survive, because etc. But so she has decided to obey his wishes and stay at that point, but then later Mjolnir can sense that he is in trouble, and she very much she's all of her arguments with him about what's the point of living for a little bit if I lose this opportunity to be Thor, like that's
Yeah.
amazing. And it's her agency and her making her choices that I really sort of love about this movie is
Yeah.
like, and how much she is not like treated like just a tool for him or just a thing for him to be sad over, like that's literally what is said out loud at moments. But I love that in reality, like we really get her story and her agency and her making like she is like, I would rather like, because she already is in stage 4, she's already like probably not going to live and she knows that. And so like while she might get a little bit of extra time, if she doesn't, it's not much, and she is making the choice that she'd like rather have this awesome experience of being Thor and saving the world than having a little bit more time to live.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think too, I don't think this is something that's ever really addressed in these movies, but like in the comics, Valkyries, like collectively, that's what they do, is they're able to tell when people are dying and then they guide them into Valhalla. And so I don't think they've shown it here, but that's, I mean, if she has, talked about this at length with Valkyrie, then she probably has told her, like you're not going to make it. So, because she can probably tell. And then I'm assuming also, like she may have found out before Jane told her, and then she arrives to this battle with Pegasus. So I'm guessing she didn't steal the horse. She probably asked her for it.
Yeah. That all makes sense. It's like, they have that whole conversation earlier with the speaker thing where like it seems very clear that like she has shared with Valkyrie the reality of her condition before she has shared it with Thor. And even when she shares it with Thor initially, I don't think he knows the severity of it the same way that Valkyrie does.
Yeah, definitely.
But so we are
I think right before our Gore is about to enter into eternity.
Yeah. Right.
I don't remember a lot of exactly what actually the things that happened here. But
Thor has that conversation with Stormbreaker, trying to like convince Stormbreaker to stop with the Bifrost, but I guess they can't because they have the shadow is sort of controlling them. But they sort of do everything, but he still manages to get eternity opened.
And then we see as he goes up and starts kneeling before eternity, Thor and Jane are as well teleported here into this like this flat ocean area, and it's really beautiful looking in there.
Very serene.
Yes, and they're telling him that they're not going to fight him anymore, or that they choose love if there's a chance that Jane could die, he would rather stay with her or till the end than fight him. Which is really beautiful. I don't remember the exact words he says, but I think like I seem to remember like maybe like one of the things he says is like he wants Thor to kill him or something. I'm not remembering exactly.
He's just saying that he is dying already from the fight. And Jane is dying. So they are convincing him that he and I feel like he's, I guess, because so at this point the sword is broken, so it's probably lost its hold over him, and you see his physically changed. So it should be, I would say at this point, pretty easy to make him not want to, like, he's still he was angry at the gods before the sword possessed him. And he had already, like, he had denounced his god, and the sword came to possess him. I feel like for that reason, the sword recognized that he was aligned with its sort of desires already, I would say. But so he still needed a little bit of convincing, but
I think
probably,
as
like,
well though,
less.
like Thor really was the god that Gore was looking for. Like,
he's kept all of his promises.
Unlike all the other gods.
Right. And like he came to save the kids, and then now he's sort of telling him, like, you can choose love too. You can bring her back.
I thought that it's so funny because it's such a cheesy concept, like, but it totally worked for me.
Like, I think it did too.
Like, normally I don't really like if a film is like just, oh, I'm gonna choose love, I'm not gonna actually fight at the end, but I think it worked in this one on doing that.
And partially because we had seen his relationship with his daughter and how much she mattered. And also, like, we can all sort of relate to some extent.
As Jane was dying, she whispers to Thor her final catchphrase. What do you think that catchphrase was?
I was curious about that. I don't know. I was wondering if you were going to ask, what do we think it is? I think that's a good question.
I think it's like something along the lines of, like, we win through love, or like we defeat evil through love, or something. I don't know how that works as a catchphrase, but I feel like that's like the really what would work in this situation. And it's not like Thor's going to tell her that's not a good catchphrase as she's dying.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it was probably something slightly funny.
Because he did laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I cannot take credit for this, and I don't remember who said it, but somebody did say, like, she said it's hammer time, probably.
Yeah.
And I wish I remembered who said that, but I don't. Sorry if I stole that from you.
No. Yeah. No, I feel like someone in some podcast I listened to said that, but I have no guesses. And then like Emmy was saying it's my hammer, my penis.
The Avengers podcast. And Gore ends up doing what they said of resurrecting his daughter instead, and Thor ends up raising her because Jane told him he would be a good father. And like then we start getting a montage of them together, and then also, like, you see a Valkyrie on New Asgard, and Korg as he's finally getting a mate
with Dwayne the Rock.
Yes,
with Dwayne with the handlebar mustache.
Which they definitely need to have Dwayne Johnson and voice that in Thor 5.
Yeah, and considering he's like another Polynesian person, I
feel like that is a role that Dwayne Johnson would definitely be willing to do. Like, I feel like he'd be willing to do that just for the chance to work with Taika Waititi, because I feel like he really would want to work with Taika Waititi.
Well, so I know that he was am I wrong that he was oh god, I can't think of his name. Maui? Was he Maui?
Yeah, he was Maui in Moana.
Yep. So Taika Waititi was working on that movie, but then ended up like having some like disagreements and didn't end up working on that movie in the end. So they were going to work together originally. And like they're both Polynesian, so I think that, like, Taika would definitely be into general representation
Oh, yeah.
boosting in that regard.
Yeah.
You need, yeah.
Definitely.
This is the part where you have Thor and his new adopted daughter making pen
Yes.
flaps for her. And so this would be like, well, I thought it would be cute if
Yeah,
he
that
and
would have been
Jane had
great.
been making pancakes earlier, and now
Yeah.
he's making pancakes for love.
And I love how love like starts going into this demon voice for a second at the table. I absolutely love that. And then like we find out that she drew all over Mjolnir, which I
Yeah, that was
really
cute.
enjoyed.
It looked boring before.
And she's like doing some weird dance in the mirror as she's like getting dressed or whatever.
And as they're about to go out, Thor hands her Stormbreaker, and he keeps Mjolnir here, which
and it totally, the conversation totally sounds like it's her first day of school or something. He's like, now remember,
definitely.
like, if you catch anyone being a bully.
Oh yeah.
But then
and that ends the regular film, and we have two.
Well, because they go out like, you think it's gonna be like, you think they're gonna be like going to school, but I love that like they open it up and it's like, nope, she's actually just going straight into battle with him.
Yes.
Right. And I love the part where they say the name of the movie in the movie right there.
Yes.
Where I did not expect that to be like, I don't think anybody, I mean, unless you read spoilers, knew that Love and Thunder was going to be about Thor and a daughter. And it was very cute. So that was nice.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
But so we have two post-credit scenes, and one of them, we see a Zeus is alive and nursing up his wounds, or he's having some other people nurse up his wounds, as he's talking about how these superheroes are they're giving us a bad name, and how he wants to teach people a lesson. So he's sending his son Hercules is after the superheroes. Which how I kind of took this is, could we see that maybe Avengers 5 is the Avengers versus the gods?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that could be an interesting way to take it, because it can't really seem to me like he's specifically sending Hercules after Thor, but more so just all the superheroes in general.
And like we have like various, gods could include your celestials and such, which we are setting up, etc. So definitely, yeah, I could see some of that.
And I feel like it could be a good parallel that that the first Avengers film after the Infinity Saga ends has its villain coming from a Thor film, just like the first Avengers film, the villain came from Thor, or with Loki.
Right.
I think that would be a good parallel. And then as our last scene of the film, we have Jane arrives in Valhalla, and she is greeted by Heimdall.
Yes, that was so cute and so amazing that they did that.
Yeah. Which
I was happy to see that.
It really does make me wonder, is Valhalla, since it is considered in Norse mythology as one of the 9 realms, I believe, does it work like one of the rest of the 9 realms in the MCU, or does it work more on the way of like the ancestral plane, or the or the duat in Moon Knight. Because if it works like the rest of the 9 realms, it's really just a planet that people could actually find a way to come there if they ever need, like, maybe guidance from someone in Valhalla, or if it works like those realms, then they wouldn't be able to, probably. What do you two think?
Generally speaking, my experience with what I have seen of that kind of thing in the comics, specifically around your Asgardian characters, is that you need sort of cataclysmic events to bring people out of Valhalla.
Well, I wasn't really thinking nearly as much of like actually bringing people out of there, but like more of like maybe like in Thor 5, Thor feels I need to have a bit of advice, so he goes into Valhalla to find his father there, or find Heimdall there and ask them for advice. Because I don't think it would be easy for people on Valhalla to get out of there, but I feel like a god like Thor could probably get there.
I think Valkyrie can bring him, probably, because Valkyrie can go back and forth, and I think it's a little bit more probably like the ancestral plane or the duat, where it's not like easily accessible. But I think Jane does become a Valkyrie at some point in the comics, and so I don't know exactly if it's Odin or someone else who bestows that upon her, but then she is able to go in and out at some point. So I don't completely think that that's the last that we've seen of her, but it depends on Natalie Portman. So.
Yeah. Which I think Natalie Portman is a lot more willing to come back now because she really likes Taika.
Yes. Yeah, she wasn't. I mean, a lot of people, like even Chris Hemsworth was not happy with, where things were going before either.
Like that's why she wasn't willing to come back for Ragnarok. But when she seen how well Taika did Ragnarok, she was like, yeah, I'm willing to come back.
Yep. Less sort of drama cheesy. But yeah, I could stand to see him be tempered with a little more reining in next time. But again, I loved this movie. There's some things that were a little less than perfect about it, but I thought basically it was great.
Yeah, I had a really good time. I thought, like, the second time that I saw it, I forget what scene it was. I was just sitting there and I was like, this is a ridiculous movie, but I really like that it is.
Yes.
Like, I just had a great time.
I think my biggest complaint from it could be, which this is really a complaint for all of like phase 4, is that even though I like that the MCU is branching out, I do miss that feel of the films that we had in the previous 3 phases, which it's kind of felt in phase 4. Like the only one that's really given that feel to me is Shang-Chi, and then and you have the TV shows all gave that feel, but the rest of the movie, like the same feeling that we got, the same feeling and tone owns that you got from the first 3 phases.
Gotcha.
Like it's kind of felt like all the films feel completely different from how it was before, and I think Shang-Chi is the only one that really gave me that same sort of feel that I've grown to love. And that's the only gripe I could have with the film, but I really did enjoy the film a lot. So I would say probably the film, at least to me, I would say like maybe an 8 out of 10.
I'd probably give it. Good. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm really bad at ratings, so I don't know specific numbers. I will say that I liked Ragnarok better than this, but I mean, I laughed during this, and I'm very easy to please, I think, and so I mean, I had a great time watching it, and I think it's one of those, like Ragnarok, that's very easy to watch multiple times, or at least have it on in the background. When it comes to Disney Plus, you can just like easily throw it on, and it's just a good time.
I think Ragnarok I would put just above this at a 9 out of 10. The only reason I wouldn't give it just completely a 10 out of 10 is because I wanted more Hulk scenes in Ragnarok than there actually ended up being.
Makes sense, yeah.
Like there was I was thinking going into that Hulk was going to be in like half of the film, but not he's not really in nearly as much of it as I expected him to be in it. So I wish that, and also like because of the relationships that were built in Ragnarok, I really wish Hulk made an appearance in this. It's like Tessa Thompson said in some interviews that she thinks that Valkyrie still does like video chats with Hulk, and I love that idea, and I wish we could have seen a scene of that in the film. I have like a full scene in my head of like how that could go. So like Valkyrie is telling Bruce about the like what's going on with Gore, and then and Thor walks in and asks, is that my big green friend, my big green fiery friend? And but like when he gets up close, he's like, oh, it's just Bruce who's using Hulk's body. When are you gonna let my big green friend back out? When are you going to let him take control again? Like that would be hilarious. And doing something like that too, like that also would show that Marvel Studios, they do see like they do understand that people aren't happy with the Professor Hulk thing, and I think that if they showed something like that, it would confirm to people they're definitely going to at some point be bringing back the Savage Hulk.
I mean, so I feel like in general, like the MCU has had, and I know there are reasons for it, but like like there has been way too little like it's a shame that like since the MCU really became the MCU, we haven't gotten a Hulk standalone movie, and there's obviously legal reasons for that. But I feel like Mark Ruffalo is amazing, and like I would have so much loved to see and like just that character just be utilized so much more. So yeah, I would love to see them do pretty much anything more with him than they have, because he's literally the only character who hasn't gotten his own movie,
which happily he's going to be in a good bit of She-Hulk, I think, so that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, we should hope so.
Yeah, like I feel like Thor though is someone who like he probably just like us like a lot of fans probably would be like complaining about that, because really he was more so friends with Hulk than he was with Banner, so he probably misses his relationship with Hulk,
possibly,
I would say, because there's I'm just I started to I bring more Hulk into the episode just because it's my podcast. Hulk podcast, but yeah. But I did really enjoy the film, as I said. And if either of you have listened to my podcast before, or you'll know, I usually get trivia from the films I watch. So I found a bunch of things on IMDb to talk about. So
cool.
Most of Chris Hemsworth's family appear in the film. His sons Sasha and Tristan play young Thor, or in the beginning of the film when we see a montage of him growing up. His daughter India Rose plays Gore's daughter Love. His brother Luke Hemsworth plays the stage actor portraying Thor, and his wife Elsa Pataky. He played a former lover of Thor that he was on top of the giant wolf with.
Yeah.
And then Christian Bale almost dropped out of the film due to scheduling conflicts. It's because Bale usually prefers to have wider gaps between projects, but this time he only had 3 days after finishing and shooting a film in Los Angeles and starting the mandatory COVID-19 in quarantine in Australia. But it was his children who eventually convinced him to make the scheduling work.
Cool.
Chris Hemsworth calls Gore his favorite villain in the entire Marvel universe, which is nice. Thor's vest has an image of a tree-like structure formed from 9 orbs. This is a stylish rendering of the world tree Yggdrasil. Old in Norse mythology, the depiction of the cosmos and its 9 realms. Thor wears a vest over a t-shirt with jeans. This is the uniform of Thunderstrike, a superhero who inherited Thor's powers. The scene where Korg addresses the children in a cave about the deeds of Thor is a reference to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, which apparently has an almost identical scene about children hearing about their film's central protagonist. As in both this film and that film are filmed in Australia. On the days they would film kissing scenes, Chris Hemsworth would abstain from meat because Natalie Portman is vegan, which that I think is a really cool thing that he did.
Yeah.
And apparently in Norse mythology, Thor considers his goats to be good for eating. So Thor often slaughtered his goats and ate their meat and then resurrected them with his power.
Creepy.
Yes, very creepy.
That's a lot.
Due to its trailer being released much later on, Thor Love and Thunder has broken the record for the shortest gap between an MCU movie's first trailer debut and its theatrical release, with less than a 2-month gap between both. Among the gods whom Valkyrie names in Omnipotent City, I actually already talked about this. This is where she identified the god of carpentry, Jesus Christ. And one of the gods in Omnipotent City is Bayo, the god of dumplings, which no such god exists outside of here. But this is a tribute to a Disney short called Bayo that about a dumpling that came alive, I think.
Yeah, I wondered if it was that because it is a Disney property. So I was thinking, I wonder if it's referencing that.
And
sense.
Thor Ragnarok, Thor is somewhat embarrassed when Korg suggests that Thor rode his hammer. But however, in the beginning of Thor Love and Thunder, the audience can actually see him do this with a Stormbreaker. And so, and the answer to the trivia question from earlier, you got it right. It was his belt.
Woohoo!
Nice, way to go.
Which has a name that starts with M. That's kind of like Mjolnir.
It's the name of it. It is on the was on the site that I found the trivia question from, but I was not going to take that because I was like, I'm not going to try and force them to think of that name, and also I don't want to have to pronounce that name myself.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce that. There's some funky characters that are not English in there. So Megan Yoro or something.
Oh man.
Ask
the internet how to pronounce it.
Is there anything either of the two of you would like to say before I end off this episode?
Megan York.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we covered everything. Valkyrie's my favorite. Give her a TV show, please.
Yeah. Give her more. She's great. Give her a queen, as she said she wanted.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, like where she could appear next. So I guess I won't say it unless either of you know what I'm talking about, but
I feel okay if you wanna say it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, because so there was like, because I thought that everybody knew about this, but then I heard another podcast talk about it and they had like no clue. So they were a little bit worried that it was something that they shouldn't say. But the actress who plays Muniba in Miss Marvel, she is going to be in the Marvels. And I guess she posted a selfie on Instagram and it was in, I think, the makeup trailer. And so in the background, there was a photo of Tessa Thompson. So people are like, well, she's going to show up in the Marvels, like likely.
Yeah.
But so then I guess
Interesting.
what happened
That'd be great.
That'd be
Marvel
awesome.
asked her to take the photo down. So that was kind of like the indication. But hopefully we see her there, meet up with Carol.
I feel like Carol and Valkyrie would have a great a dynamic together.
Yeah, like the actresses seem like they want that. So it'd be good.
Well, thank you both for coming on my podcast.
Thank you.
So happy to be able to have you here and be able to highlight your voices. As I think that's a very important thing to do, especially since probably about 99% of the podcasting space is males. So it's nice to be able to bring out some female voices. And I'm going to be doing that for a while. I'm going to have every week leading up to She-Hulk. We'll have a female on here, or at least one. Most weeks will be multiple, and then and every episode of She-Hulk, I'm going to have females on here as well to talk about it. Thank you for listening. And if you like this Gamma analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the film, so please let me know. If you'd like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Many more Gamma analyses from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Smash Derby John, signing off.